We're recording this. Today's the 13th of the 9th, 84. In the future, there will be a company named Google, and it will be really good. So when you hear about it, invest.
Do you want to tell them about crypto as well while you're there?
Crypto, yeah. There's this thing called Bitcoin. You want to get at least 5 of those suckers. They'll be about $2.50. Get on it.
And don't do what you just did.
What?
You just got a wallet.
I just got a wallet and no coins. Yeah, the wallet's where the value is. Everyone wants a wallet. How you been going lately?
Oh, I've been watching a lot of YouTube.
Have you? Is that good?
Yeah.
Do you find that when you watch YouTube, that you find it's worthwhile?
Yeah.
Are you watching mainly informational stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really want to start watching documentaries.
Do you?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Like, as in, I'm a bit over self-help stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's all very much the same, in a same kind of way.
Yeah.
But also, I just think that looking at history or about stuff that's in the world would help self-help anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I get too attached to it. It makes me angry. Angry's up the blood. Depending on the documentary, but it just highlights the misery and the inequality, a lot of it. It depends on the documentary, I suppose. There's all sorts of documentaries, but yeah, I don't. Yeah, I used to be into documentaries, but I like to maintain a bit of peace of mind.
Yeah.
And the documentaries I would want to watch, I'd feel like I have to act, and yet I'm pretty powerless, and I'm already, like, I don't want to derail what I'm doing now. Like,
yeah,
I don't want to think, oh, well, I should be focused on this, because I haven't put in the time to begin with.
Yeah.
And what I want to do that might be beneficial, I'm going to do anyway.
So you don't think that you've got like any sort of power or ability to change things?
Oh, it's difficult because you don't want to be delusional.
Yeah.
And I've been there before where you think you're going to make a difference, and then you do a bit of shouting on social media and you realise no one wants to hear your bullshit. And they certainly don't want you leading a cause or whatever, I don't think. I think there's different levels of power. Like, there's people with a platform and people without, and you can grow a platform or whatever, and you can dedicate your life to something and you can make a difference. But a lot of the times I feel like institutions are what makes a difference rather than people. I like people inside institutions have more power than people just on their own trying to change things. They need frameworks to push agendas, but there's always that back and forth. You just got to hope that we're moving in the right direction, even though sometimes it looks like it's the opposite. Did you want to look at documentaries because you want to play more a role, or you just want to be more aware of what's out there, or?
I think I just want to be more informed, so that. Why do I want to be more informed? I think so that I can just be more aware of what the world is and what it's been and where it's going, and
not be ignorant about these things,
and possibly be something of change.
Be helpful. Yeah.
I was thinking about something I read in a book about benevolent detachment.
Yeah. What's that about?
I think it's just about like, if you see all this news coverage which is really distressing and you're like, oh, you feel so disempowered and so you don't have any power over that.
Yeah.
But you have to have a level of benevolent detachment to go, okay, well, even though I care about these people, I need to have a detachment towards it and a distance from it, because it's not actually, if I like harbour all this like horrible information in my soul, it's not actually going to help. I need to be a bit separate and removed from it.
Yeah. I've definitely feel like I'm doing that more these days, where before I'd want to find out what's going on, but then I'd find out and I'd get real reactive about it.
Yeah.
And it'd distress me.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't, it'd mess me up a little, but these days I'm like more sort of a Zen sort of thing where, as you said, you detach yourself from it. You don't, and that's also an ego thing where you think you've got to be able to have faith in other people and not just yourself, because if you think you're going to be the change, then you also take on board all the, you know what I mean? So if you can realise you're one of many and still willing to help where you can, it's a lot healthier than saying, well, I want to be the one that that makes a difference. You better you can get sort of it turns into a me thing rather than a help thing.
Yeah.
Like, and you're looking for big things you can do rather than chip away in little things like local communities or groups or organisations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because then if you succeed, it's your win, and if you fail, it's your loss, and you take all that power with that kind of thing.
Yeah, that and just that that feeling that that the world needs you.
Yeah.
Sort of thing, like I need to be the instigator of change, where it's the more people that chip in and do the right thing, the better things will be. But if you're not happy just picking up a shovel and digging, and you want to direct people to how they should be digging, it just becomes an ego thing, and then, but it doesn't mean just because it's an ego thing that it's all purely selfish, because it's based on this overwhelming need to care. It's just you take it on board as a personal sort of mission to be the change, and that can be very unhealthy because the world is a very broken place.
Yeah.
And just to like look at something like some corporation or something who's taking advantage or ruining something or to make a profit, and you just get that frustrated that you want to do something about it, but you're just working yourself up. But all you might be doing is yelling on Facebook or putting the word out. Like I give credit to those who take it a step further and actively what's the word where you like chain yourself to a tree or something? What's that called? I know the word. It's just not in my head at the moment.
Yeah.
It's not at the front of my mind.
Protest.
Yeah, like activism.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. I've been sort of a lounge chair activist, but you really got to get out there and interact, and the internet fools you into thinking that you can make a difference from in front of your computer, which if you're lucky you might be able to, but a lot of times you have to get out there and work with people and go and actually protest and chain yourself to a tree and do all that stuff. Like, I've never been in a protest. I wanted to do a protest for climate change here in Dubbo, but at the end of the day I thought there's going to be 10 to 50 people there, and I'll just feel awkward because it's not a big enough movement in our small town.
Yeah.
And I don't want to make it about me where I'm holding the sign. So, but that sort of attitude, you know, if there's 20 people like me, that's 20 people less that didn't go. and show their support for a movement. But yeah. What's your thoughts?
I just remember how there was somebody in town doing a documentary or some sort of video on global warming, and they stopped us in the street and they said, "Oh, can you define what global warming is?" Do you remember that?
No.
You can't remember that at all?
No, not at all.
It was out the front of CSC in the Rotunda area.
Yeah.
And
were we on camera?
You were voice clip.
Okay.
Yeah. And they asked me to do it too, but I was too shy and embarrassed and probably didn't know enough about global warming to feel confident about it. I just remembered that and wondered if you remembered it.
No, I don't, but I don't remember a lot of things. I don't have the best memory. You're better at that
It's
stuff.
funny how I remember that, and I remember learning about global warming in school, in primary school.
Way back when.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yet, or maybe it was a lower high school, but I never retained that. But I remember all the other bits and information, like not information, but bits and pieces of stuff.
Yeah. Not the actual information, but the
interactions or the relationships.
Yeah.
I remember I got on a report card once. I don't know what was on the report card. I don't remember what was on the report card. But Mum and Dad would always see my report card before I got to see it because it was a report for the parents at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But then they'd let me see it at the end.
Yeah.
And there was this one report card by Mrs. Batten that was my Year 7 like core teacher, which is like English, history, something else. And she wrote something, but it must have been read between the lines because I didn't read it. But Mum said, "Oh, so you're just too busy flirting with boys in English, are you?" And that wasn't like, it didn't say Elizabeth is too busy flirting with boys. But there was something between the lines and something that she read that was like, "Oh, well, that's what that means. She's easily distracted by other members or something like that."
I just give up in Year 10 for school because I got my best result ever. Like I used to do all right, but I'm just above average. I'm not top of the line. But I got a first in science for my year, and there was about 120 kids or so. That was only in the half year, and I came home, and my parents didn't really acknowledge it. They just thought, "Oh, little smart ass." This is just me assuming what they thought, and I really didn't get the feedback of, "Oh, this is a great job. You put in a lot of effort." It was just like, let's downplay this because, and that sort of, I don't know if I was going off the rails anyway, but that was like a kick in the guts that I never really put in the full effort after that. I don't think
it wasn't worth it. Like,
there was no payoff. Yeah. But I think I was just lucky, really, to get that result because it was a multiple choice thing, and I'm pretty good at that stuff. But it's easy to ace a multiple choice thing where, where you've got the answer there, you just got to decide which one's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think most of the marking was based on that one test.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I did so well in that.
Multiple choice freaks me out. It stresses me out. Give me like a 1,000-word essay, extended response, but don't give me multiple choice.
Yeah.
Because I doubt myself so much. I'll think, well, it's either C or B. And so like I'll circle B and I'm like, it's definitely B. And then I'll read C again and I'll go, oh no, it's actually C. So I'll rub out B and put C down and I'll go, oh, but it probably was B. So then I cross out C, put B back in, and then sometimes I've literally had to put an arrow in the sun and write a little note to my teacher saying, it's B. All right? Not C.
Yeah. I don't know. I just enjoy multiple choice because the answer's there. You've just got to use deductive sort of reasoning to figure out which one it is, I suppose.
I never got
any... It highlights to me because I might forget the answer, but the answer's there, so I can. It'll help me remember it. Yeah.
I never got any high marks on like those maths competitions, the statewide ones.
Oh yeah.
Even though I got really good marks in my
HSC.
Well, like my maths exams at school, but then when it came to that, because they weren't they were built with all multiple choice. Like it just freaked me out. And also I was stressed because I knew that it was computer read, and so like I didn't want to have any imperfections to make it red. So I'm like freaking out, like I'm like erasing everything really perfectly, and just got
you're taking all your mind power rather on the test on the
little dots
application of the test. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
But the HSC undid me.
Like, oh yeah, like mentally, because you put that much
pressure.
Emphasis on it. Yeah. And you only like you got such a high result, but it's not like you went on and went, I'm gonna get into some profession that you need a really high.
No.
So you really didn't need to like put yourself under that sort of pressure.
No.
Yeah.
But I must admit, I reckon that my resume, having that score on there, I think that's gotten me better outcomes with my jobs.
Yeah.
When I was early out, at least.
Yeah. So you got straight into a decent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they thought, oh, there must be something with that girl, but.
Yeah.
But by that stage, I was so wrecked that I was like, it's not reflective of what I am now.
Yeah, but you still got that image.
Yeah.
That helps you out. Yeah.
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 Do you have dreams about school, like the school work
Oh,
anymore?
yeah. They're not as often, but as they once were. But I still have dreams, like school dreams, where I'll be unprepared. I'm always unprepared in the dream, and it's like I don't know which class to go to, and I've just. Which is exactly like what school was for me. I just wasn't I wasn't a good organizer at that stage. So I really didn't know where I was up to at any one point, and like what I had to hand in, what I had to put emphasis on. I was just very ignorant.
Yeah.
I was totally ignorant, and I think I've stayed that way until my 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because I've got these perpetual dreams, these recurring dreams, and I feel like there's some symbolism to them that's paralleled with the reality because...
Yeah.
So I used to have this recurring dream about my maths exam because maths was my subject that didn't count in my HSE because that was my worst mark.
Yeah.
So I'd always have this recurring dream when I got out of school until about like 8 years out of school that I was trying to study for my maths exam and I just wasn't doing my homework, I wasn't completing my homework, and when I got to the day I was not ready.
Yeah.
Anyway, then about 8 years in, like I said, I had this dream, this one-off dream after those recurring ones that was I was ready and I had studied, I had done my homework and I was ready for it.
Yeah.
And I did it.
Oh, okay.
I aced it.
On a dream.
But then, more recently, like in the last year, I've had recurring dreams in the similar vein of that math stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm not prepared again.
Yeah, okay.
But I have done my year 12 already. So I've already done my HSC. And so I got a good mark in my year 12. But then in my dream... I'm doing the next year, as in year 13, at school again, and I'm just doing the pits. Like I'm not performing. I'm not doing my homework. I'm not getting the grades. But in my dream, I've literally just recently switched it. Like not consciously, but like in my dream, I've switched it so that I'm actually okay with that because I'm resting on that mark of the year before, and I go
so you've got
take a bit of a different tune, like change your attitude around it and just rest and enjoy. Not enjoy, but maybe enjoy. Like just calm down.
Like get a bit of perspective on it. It's like your subconscious is you've learnt these strategies and now your subconscious is playing them out in your dreams. Yeah.
So it's funny, like I went from like stressed out for that I wasn't prepared to actually you aced it to actually you're not prepared again, but you're resting and you're okay with that. Like,
good.
It's interesting. It's real weird. But
I also have dreams that I'm like 26 years old and I'm still going to school with the rest of them. It's so weird.
Is it embarrassing?
It's like 21 Jump Street. Probably. I don't know how I feel at the time. I can't really reflect on it at the moment, but it's there's something distressing about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think the dreams can be interpreted, or do you think that they're just dreams?
Oh yeah.
Like,
not magically, like you can't like dream interpretation goes from like Jung or
Jung.
Jung.
Yeah.
I always get that wrong. His idea of it, which is sort of you're picking apart your subconscious and what your brain's replaying to a more like not spiritual, but what's the other word?
It's like a more generalized type thing where
like
if you see a cat in your dream, that equates to
yeah like
this,
the
or
it's more like a horoscope sort of thing,
Yeah.
like magical sort of thinking, sort of
astrology type thing.
Yeah. But I think the you can interpret dreams, but that doesn't mean you know that you're right. But they're useful indicators of what's stressing you out and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and like what's on your mind, and because it's just your way of brain defragging while you're asleep. Like it's yeah.
What house does your dreams occur in?
I got we lived on a farm that my dad managed in Geary called Lower Park, and it was a pretty big house. It was 55 squares, whatever that means, and it was an old sandstone house. But in my dreams, I keep coming back to this house, but this house is getting bigger and bigger, and now it's pretty much a university for kids.
Yeah.
But I'm not part of the elite in there. I'm not like I'm just like in a little side house in the building, but like I'm always going through rooms, but I'm not part of it. It's like my family is there, but we're like the groundskeepers or some sort of. We don't get to interact with these rich.
You're not studying.
No, we're not studying. No, but there are people there that are. It's like a boarding house or something.
Yeah.
And this building's huge now, and it's like all developed, and it's grown from, like over the years. This house has sort of expanded, but I'm still sort of like I don't know the rooms, and I don't know all the rules, and like I walk through rooms that have fountains and like garden features and all that sort of stuff, and big windows and that sort of thing, and it's beautiful, but it's not my place. I'm just moving through it, sort of thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm sure you can interpret that or try to. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
I go back to my homes in my dreams. I never dream about this house. I dream about like my homes when I was a kid.
Which ones?
Not really the one when we're in town when I was at school. Sometimes it's the one that I was in high school at, but most of the time it's my like first home I was in when I was growing up, like in
at Boxwood.
Yeah, in Mendoran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And has those dreams developed over time? Or?
Oh no, it's just that like modern day stuff happens in those houses. Like I'm old in those times and it's current times in my dream.
Yeah.
But I'm still in that house. In my house that I was raised in when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
That's where everything centres.
Yeah. On a darker note, there was rooms underneath this house where it was scary, and I know there was something bad in there, but I couldn't go in there. There was also something in the roof that was scary, but I think I went through a phase like I didn't know it was scary, that I confronted that or something, and I don't have that dream anymore.
Yeah, wow.
But like there's like the sandstone like big carved out door that you go into, and there's all tunnels and stuff underneath the house. But it's just more of a fear rather than like I don't know that area or whatever, and I'm not game to go in it, but I know the entrance, and I got this idea in my mind that thing in there, but it's also treasures and stuff. I don't know. It's a bit weird. It changes.
Yeah, interesting.
Do you have dreams of finding money on the side of the road?
No.
I have dreams. This comes back to my cheapness, or I don't know what this says, but I find like in the gutter, just beside the gutter where the grass is, I'll start finding a heap of $2 coins, and like I'll be digging up and I'll be finding a heap of $2 coins.
No.
It's like totally a poor person's mentality that I'm getting rich finding $2 coins. Yeah.
I had a dream that my teeth were falling out and becoming rocks.
Yeah.
And I looked it up and did a dream interpretation guide. Like, as in, I just looked it up on Google. And it said, your money's dwindling.
There's truth to that.
There's truth to that, yeah. I was in an airport a few years ago and I bought a book called Mindful Relationships. And, like, even though I didn't finish reading it, I got the gist of it. And, it, like, every now and again I think about it and it's really helpful. It's just about being really present with the person you're with and relating to that person on a level where you really are mindful of what's going on right now. It was really helpful. You're a big mindfulness person, aren't you? I think that people don't really understand mindfulness properly.
Why is that?
I just think that they simplify it in such a way that it loses its grasp of what it's actually trying to do. Like, they think, oh, mindfulness, I need to colour in. But it's not about doing a simple task. It's about doing any task and being in that moment, accepting, being able to let go of things that are pulling you away from that moment, that now. Yeah. But I think some people, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but they're like, oh, well, mindfulness, I better just do one thing simply. But it's like a mind thing as well. Like, it's not just an action thing. It's an internal. Yeah, for sure. Mental habit.
It's a process in your mind, and also a habit of reframing things and like being in that moment, as you said, without being distracted or pulling away or thinking about the future or the past.
Yeah.
And being the thing about colouring and stuff like that is it's very immersive, and what's that word, like, gets you in flow state, where you just focused on that. So it's more a practice of mindfulness.
Yeah.
So you're that focused on what you're doing now that your brain's not like just running through all the thoughts you could have. And a lot of people who are worriers have a habit of just looking for problems. So they're looking for problems in their life, and then it highlights them, and then they run through them. But they not necessarily solving those problems. They're just being affected by them.
Yeah.
And having it run all the time is affecting their their stress levels and their ability to cope, and at the same time not necessarily preparing them in the right way to overcome those problems. So it's more of it's a fear of them rather than a actual prep of them. Do you want me to keep talking, or do you want to say a bit more? Okay.
No, I don't want you to keep talking.
I'm not finished.
Oh, well then why did you ask?
I just thought you might want to add something.
I did want to.
Oh, well, that's what I said. Go ahead.
Well, it's on the same topic, but I don't want to break your flow.
No, I'll come back to it.
Because I remember when I was trying to find resources on mindfulness or just mental health stuff in general, and I came across this great flowchart diagram thing, where if you've got a worry, it's like a worry tree, a worry decision tree, you got like 2 flowcharts out of it.
Yeah.
Can you do something about it now?
Yeah.
No. Okay. Well, or yes, if you can do something about it now, do it.
Yeah.
And if you can't, then you go on to the next branch, which is you either plan to do, like you've planned for the future, schedule it for the future.
Oh, yeah.
Or you do it like you, okay, so, yeah.
Or
so
you let it go.
You let it go.
Time.
You let it go.
Yeah.
And if you schedule it for the future, you just do it in the future. Anyway, it has all these arms to it.
That's a great little process.
It's a fantastic, like, the tree's about that, like, it takes up an A4 page. And it just, the flow chart just goes, pretty much, let it go, move on. So once you put it in your schedule, you have to let it go and move on.
Yeah.
Or if it's quick enough, or you're in the moment you're able to do it, you just do it then. Yeah. But there's all these other arms to it as well, which I can't really remember at the moment. But it was really helpful for me. Myself.
Even those bit you said by itself is really helpful.
Yeah. And even like, can you do anything about it? So some things you can't actually do anything about it. So there's an arm that goes, I can't do anything about it. Well, then let it go. Yeah. Can you do something about it? Well, what are the steps that you need to break down to actually do something about it? I'm a big believer in the so when something's insurmountable and overwhelming, to break it down into smaller steps, even though that seems so simple. But you've got to start somewhere.
Yeah. I know with projects like if I don't break it down into the next possible step and you just break it down into what I can do now, then it can lead to a lot of sorry about all this coughing. Lead to a lot of procrastination because you haven't broken it down into the next possible step. Yeah. Keep going.
But there has to be a challenge-paced thing as well, which I love thinking about, where the smaller step can't be so insignificant that you're like, oh, well, I'm not even going to do that because it's so insignificant and so little that it's not challenging you enough to move forward and motivating. So, like, they talk about having a 70 to 80% motivation pace so that the goal that you're stepping towards gives you enough impetus to move and change because it's enough challenge that you want to do it, but not too much challenge that you're like, oh, this is still overwhelming, I can't do it.
Yeah, but that's more that's bringing it out a bit to like like the big picture where that's a project, but the little if you've got a big picture in mind, then the little steps are worthwhile. It's just you might have the big picture, but it's overwhelming. You don't know where to start and. Yeah, but you don't, as you said, you don't want that big picture project to be outside the scope of your abilities, but you want it to be challenging at the same time, so you get that feeling of, like what we've talked about before, where there's a bit of excitement and flow, where it's not boring, but it's not so hard that it's frustrating you or overwhelming you. Yeah. And it's just fun and you're moving forward. Go on.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you go.
And also, like, some of this stuff I learnt as a consumer and some of it I learnt as a practitioner. Yeah. I remember I had a psychologist who was my clinical psychologist that was my supervisor when I was going through stuff, or when I was like a social worker, and he talked about like how motivation begets motivation. Yeah. And I was thinking about him this morning because like I didn't want to do anything this morning. I was just lazy, and I was like, well, just do one little bit, like just clean up the dishwasher, like just do the dishwasher. Don't even wash up. Yeah. But I just did the dishwasher. And then I was like, oh, this is like half done now, so I'll just wash up now. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, it is. Motivation begets motivation. Like it's helpful. Yeah. Yeah. All that stuff.
That's great. Yeah. Can we get back to mindfulness? Yeah. I just wanted to talk about how beneficial mindfulness was to me back in the day, because I went through this phase where I had a bit of a psychotic break. It was like that. It was a pivot point in my life where I went from being making a mess of things to getting my life together and sort of living a healthy life that wasn't driven by trauma. And mindfulness, I went through this stage where I had this breakdown, and then when I came out of it, my mind was real scattered and I couldn't control my thoughts, and I kept having thoughts I didn't want to have. Yeah. And the more I tried to push them out, the more I identified with them and thought, oh, that's not me, it's a part of the shadow thing and all that too. Yeah. And I was seeing a counsellor and she gave me this sheet on mindfulness. And I think it was just a handout she give people as part of the process. But I didn't think she put much value on it.
Yeah.
But out of all the things with that I did with counselling, which some of it had a negative effect, the little sheet on mindfulness meditation made a huge difference, because it was a little page with a few steps, and I just sat down, and then all I had to do was be in a position where I was comfortable but not resting, like I was upright and alert, and then I'd close my eyes and I'd focus on my breath, and then when a thought come into my head, I just had to tell myself that I accept it and let it go. And these thoughts had come by, and these thoughts that I was clinging to, and the more I cling to them, the more they pop back up, or the more I rejected them, the more they come up, because my brain was thinking these things are stressing me. These things are a problem, so I have to make him aware of them so he deals with them. But it was just a cognitive function that was stuck in a loop, sort of thing. And once I started doing this mindfulness, and I did it for about 5 minutes the first time, and it was only the very first time I did it, I stepped out of that, opened my eyes, and the world was just like I was actually in the present. I wasn't thinking about the future or ruminating about the past. I was just there in the moment, and it's like it just settled my mind. My mind was like a jar with water in it, with a heap of sediment that I kept shaking, and it was all cloudy and murky, and I wasn't clear, and I was just all, and then I just left the cup sitting there without moving it, and all the little sediment went to the bottom, and I was clear.
Yep.
And that's what it was like. And I did that for the next 6 months, and I've never looked back. Like, it's so hard to meditate because it's so boring or whatever. But well, I find it boring, and it's a hard thing to do because it's doing nothing. It's not doing something. And it's very hard to schedule doing nothing. But whenever I get into a state where I'm not doing too well, it's always something I can fall back on. But it's something that if you practice, even if it's just every now and again for a certain period, it stays with you, and you become less, what's the word in the big five? Neurotic.
Yeah.
Neurotic. So you become less neurotic, and you become less obsessive, and less worrisome, and you're not always thinking of it, as I said, you're not always thinking about what's happening in the future, or a better future or a worse future, or worrying about all that stuff that's happened in the past, all the embarrassing bits and hurts and trauma and all that stuff that you keep replaying in your mind. And you're just there in the moment, and you can enjoy the moment and be there in the moment, and that's where life is at. That's in that moment where you're actually enjoying the present. And that feeling where I first feel that was like a relief that I hadn't felt in a long time. And another thing you learn about all that, if you with mindfulness meditation, when it's about breathing, I was never a manual breather. I was always breathing automatically, and my breath was really shallow, and I'd always have really shallow breaths. And it actually controlled me where I was focusing on my breath. I realized the breath is a funny thing, your lungs, because it's both automatic, like you can not think about it and it happens, or you can do it manually, where you decide to pull in and out and how long and if you practice that, then you get more control over it. And when a stressful situation comes, you modulate your breathing, and it slows you down, and those stress reactions don't get you to, you're not just really shallow and sort of creating a negative loop in yourself.
Yeah.
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 Do you think that was helpful?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Those breathing exercises, and it's all that type of stuff where it's any kind of exercise. It's like, oh, I don't want to do it, but when you do it, there's so much benefit towards it, and the more you do it, is the more benefit and gain you'll get out of it. But that's beautiful that you got after 5 minutes the first time you did it, you got so much out of it.
And I went and told her.
Yeah.
And I think she thought I was bullshitting, like I was telling her about a breakthrough that she didn't believe, because this was mindfulness meditation is more mainstream now, but I think she didn't really, she just had this in her pack of notes and thought, give this a go, and I ran with it, and that made the biggest difference. And I don't think she thought I was just putting it on. But I remember going to another counsellor and talking about the benefits of mindfulness, and he sort of said, isn't it at the end of the day just navel gazing? And I think that's a real shame that he thought that, because that's a tool that's not based on hokum. It actually works, and it's a game changer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate the navel gazing phrase because navel gazing is so important. Hey, as in not in the negative connotations of navel gazing, but looking at yourself and being able to go, oh, this is who I am, and work out your identity, and even though it's a changing, fluctuating thing, just being able to go, who am I, and even not being able to answer that question, but a bit of navel gazing goes a long way into your relationships and your soul and stuff. I always whenever there's connotations of negativity around navel gazing or looking at yourself, I always struggle.
Yeah. I think the problem you have with looking at yourself, which I went down this wrong path, is that the big I comes out and you become self-obsessed. Yeah. So it's all about your lens becomes all about putting things through how I look, how I am, rather than just enjoying being part of everything. Yeah, there's a balance to it. Tim Keller talks about the art of self-forgetfulness, and also that he defines humility is when you stop trying to connect everything back to yourself. Yeah. 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 For sure. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because I used to hear the word humility and I used to go, I don't understand that. Yeah. And that's because I had no humility. Yeah. It wasn't there yet. Yeah. And it took a long time to work it out. I had this can I tell you this side story? So I worked at Headspace last year. Yeah. And there was this sheet of positive attributes, and the people had to, I've told you this I think before, the not students, the young people had to circle the attributes that they saw in themselves to be able to go, these are my positive attributes, and to boost their self-esteem somewhat. Anyway, one of the things on the list was humility, and one of the young fellas said to one of the other workers, well, you can't circle humility, can you? Because as soon as you circle humility, it's changed the goalposts. I thought that was fantastic because you just picked up something really alert, really deep on that. I loved it. Very insightful. Yeah. Yeah. Quite cool. Yeah. I think we need to be a bit lighter. Do we? We need to not that's all right, but I think we need to. I think we'll just carve them into talks about certain topics. Yeah, it's real heavy. It's heavy. I need to have a beer to be light, don't I? No, you don't. Don't I? No. You're going to go for that. Yeah. The benefit of being with you for so long is that I think I know what you're about to say next. Do you? And most of the time I'm spot on. And no, but you are with me too. But because I'm playing 5-dimensional chess with you, I know that you know what I'm about to say next. But then I don't say what I usually would, my sub-normal thing would be, my default would be to say. I try and then surprise you by going, I'll say something real different to what I usually say to just keep him guessing and spice things up a little bit. I've done that a bit where you're like, that's not what I expected. Just keep you guessing. Yeah. Any final words, Liz?
the sign off, is it?